So the reason why I wanted to become a registered naturotherapist and holistic nutritionist is because I just wanted a real respectable job. I failed out of pre-med and I didn't want to become a dietitian. So I was in this crossroad in my life where I was broke, I was feeling like a failure, and I was a mess in my physical, emotional, and mental health. I suffered from major depression, I had chronic fatigue, and I was in a lot of pain. So at the time, I grabbed onto something that I know of, which is food. And the nutrients in those food are repairing and regenerative. So I made a meal plan for myself. I dragged my ass out of bed and I made myself walk to the grocery store. That gave me something healthy to focus on in life. And that helped me build a healthy foundation. I was able to use what I learned from nutritional science, making meal plans for myself, walking, making me drag myself out of my bed every day, walking to the grocery store, cooking for myself. And that was able to nourish my body to a point that I was able to function, I was able to work, I was able to have that healthy focus so that I can further explore how I can improve my mental, emotional, physical health. And that became my focus. And that I hope that this place can be a focus for my clients as well. So a lot of people will mistake me as a naturopath or naturopathic doctor or dietitian. I don't practice medicine and I'm not a dietitian. What I do is a natural health consultant that walk with you on your health journey, bringing you information that empowers you and give you sovereignty over your own health. So a dietitian is trained to know about the recommended daily amount for the average individual. They follow the government's dietary guidelines. They might even be very knowledgeable about different therapeutic diets. How a registered holistic nutritionist is different is that as a holistic nutritionist, we take what's called the orthomolecular approach. Orthomolecular means the right amount for you as a biochemically unique individual. So what that means is I focus on not just the quantity, but actually the quality of the nutrients you put into your body. Are you absorbing them, or are the nutrients just washing through your body? Are you assimilating? That means, are you using those nutrients to do the proper repair work that your body is needing to repair and regenerate? As well as your cellular environment. Is your cells marinating in inflammation and toxins, or your cells are bathing in this beautiful, clean environment that they can do the absorption, repair, and detoxification properly? So I assess what are some of those roadblocks for you so that you can actually make the most out of the nutrients in your body. So some examples I want to share with you is individuals that suffer from chronic inflammatory issues, such as fibromyalgia. Some people suffer from chronic metabolic problems like diabetes, heart disease, and there's some people with hormonal imbalance that may be going through menopause. So all those different circumstances would entail that your need and your ability to assess and process nutrients would differ from everyone else's. The difference between me and a modern naturopathic doctor is that modern naturopathic doctors is a part of the allopathic system. They take a very science-driven and evidence approach to diagnose diseases, and they prescribe things which includes pharmaceutical medications, and they prescribe vitamins, they can prescribe therapeutic diets. There even some of them are licensed to do IV therapies, intravenous therapies, injections, and even minor surgeries. Whereas natural therapy is focused on minimally non-invasive natural modalities, including natural food, supplements, herbs, vitamins, and minerals. And the focus is on helping the body align with its innate intelligence towards health. I do not diagnose or prescribe anything to my client. What I do is I work on coaching my clients. I value this coaching relationship greatly because I feel like this is where the magic is happening. So I usually start with helping the client make sense of their diagnosis and making sense of what's happening with their bodies, and then guiding them with information about what are some of the steps they can take to realign their health, to realign their health. What I find inspiring is when I see a client, when I first meet them, they're usually in a place that they're really afraid of their diagnosis. And there even may be some frustration about all the pain their body is going through. And there's resistance, whether that's afraid to look deeper or afraid to make changes. But then as the coaching relationship continues, I find the client discover more and more tools to realign their health, and by the time they finish working with me, when it's time to do our last session before regular maintenance, they will say, Tahlia, you know what? I have incorporated these things into my life. They mean so much to me, that they have made such a huge, profound impact in my health. I don't know if I would not do it any other way. I will not give up everything that I've built for myself and just go back to how I lived normally. I'm going to carry this into now as a regular part of my life, and I find that's the most touching and the most touching part, which is I see the empowerment coming out of my client. So in the first session, we're playing a bit of health detective. We want to go into your history, what you did in the past, where your health and body has been, and taking a picture of what you are doing currently. To illustrate how deep and insightful we may go, let me tell you what the first session may involve. It may involve us taking a look at your current lab work, and we're going to assess it against something called the functional ranges. The difference between what you typically get from your lab, which is a regular range to tell you if you have a disease or not, is like, let's say it's like this. Functional ranges describes a range where you would be in optimal health, so more like a more narrow range. I'm not giving you any diagnosis, but it's to point out what's the difference between your result from what it would be for you in an optimal sense. We also may look at some functional test results. What are those functional tests? It may include stress hormones, your reproductive hormones, your stool, the microbiome in your stool, and it may involve in something like how you're processing your nutrients. Are some of the nutrients you've been using, are they doing what it's supposed to do for you? So we look at some of these functional ranges, we look at some of your regular lab test results, and we may also take a look at cellular microscopy. So what that means is, if you imagine, you go get your blood work done, those are numbers. But what I may also look at for you is something called data by the pictures, qualitative data, to see how your cells are functioning. Do your cells look healthy and nourished, or do they look like they're tired and starved? How's your cellular environment? What is your cells living in a hoarder's house, or that's full of junk and toxins and heavy metals? Or if your cells are living in a clean environment that they can really rest, repair, and regenerate. So my goal is to use what data is available to us and discuss with you a plan moving forward, how we can bring you back in alignment with your optimal health. Most important thing that people need to know, and I really think it could be an unpopular opinion, and I think it's the best kept secret, is that your body has an innate intelligence that's built to guide you towards healing. And I have 3 examples. Number 1 is your DNA is not out there to destroy you. A lot of people come to me for advice on how to manage diabetes and high cholesterol, things like that, naturally. And they often, in the first session, give me a sense that they don't believe, they want to know what natural means there is to help them, but they don't actually believe in it. They would say something along the line of, my grandmother or my father or mother, you fill in the blank, is diagnosed with heart disease or diabetes at a certain age. So I'm just here for information, but I really don't know what eating healthy is going to do for me. What I want people to know is actually DNA is just a blueprint, and it describes what's called potential risk. It's not a sentence for your life. According to Dr. Bruce Lipton's research in epigenetics, your genes only, even if you have the worst case of the lottery, for example, the genetic lottery, that it only would affect you you have 60 to 80% of the power to determine your health outcome. So there's something called epigenetics. Those are the switches that you can turn off through healthy diet and lifestyle, that you can actually turn off those disease genes if you choose to. So for those people who have family history of diabetes, heart disease, I really want you to know that your DNA is not out to get you, that there is a way to support your health naturally. So the next thing I want to share with you is that weight loss is not as easy as you thought, but it's not as hard as you thought. Yeah? So let me give you an example. One common request I get from clients first come to see me is that, Tahlia, I want you to make a calorie restrictive diet plan that has X amount of calorie per day, so that I would like to lose this many pounds in this many weeks. So oftentimes, yes, that works, but there is a but to it, but it rarely is going to be a sustainable result. You may actually make it harder for you in the long run. So let me explain to you what that means. First is I want to illustrate this very common phenomenon that clients experience in my practice. Is called the set weight climbing up. In a study where they examined people that have a lot of chronic daily stress in their life, ongoing stress. So even with the same diet and same exercise regimen, that these people are holding on to more calories every single day. So by the end of the year, people have a lot of these chronic stress from their life demands are gaining 11 pounds on average compared to people with low stress in their life. A lot of my clients actually have a lot of high stress in their life. So what they're experiencing is their set weight moving up by 5 pounds, 10 pounds every year. So if we apply that caloric restrictive regimen to this scenario, what you will end up having is it will work for the first time, but that restrictive way of eating is not sustainable for long term. So what that means is you go back to eating normally after a while, you achieve your goal weight, and you go back to eating normally. And you fall back to the old pattern of your set weight climbing up every year. So when you decide to eat healthy again or get back on track, it's going to be harder than the first time around because your set weight is going up and your set metabolic rate is going down. So what we end up having to do is making that plan more restrictive and even harder to sustain. What this produces is a sense of defeat in a person and make them falsely believe that there's something wrong with their metabolism, that they have to resort to extreme measures, sometimes taking weight loss medications to really fix the problem. But let me share something with you. It's called the floodgate effect in my practice. That once we actually address the underlying stress in the body, that the weight just lift off your shoulders. It's like once we address the roadblock, whether it's stress, sleep problem, or other inflammatory sources, once we remove those roadblocks, that the weight is gonna melt off of you, lift off of your shoulder, like opening a floodgate. And that result is going to be more sustainable and easier to maintain. So the third story is when clients set a deadline for their health problem to go away. One example is one of my clients once told me, I want to give you a deadline, Tahlia, that I want my SIBO to be gone by the end of the month. I totally understand that because especially if you suffer from any chronic digestive imbalances, I feel for you. If you suffer from colitis, SIBO, IBS, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, those issues can be pesky, they can flare up, and they can really make you feel frustrated. I 100% understand your frustration, but unfortunately, chronic inflammatory digestive problems tend not to respond to quick fixes. Therefore, sometimes we need to give the body the patience, actually listening to the body, removing all of the reasons why the body goes into its hyperdefensive state, which is inflammatory state. There's usually a reason why your body is going into those hyperdefensive states. And I want to actually investigate this with you so that we can understand a little bit better on why your body is becoming hyperdefensive, removing those obstacles so your body actually can regenerate over time. And what sometimes clients see results more like, I want results like that, like they want linear results, like boo, 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 like all the way up, or even exponential results. You want like something like this because you're so frustrated. But what I often see, the realistic client's journey with chronic digestive health problems is more like a staircase. Sometimes you feel like you're in a plateau. Sometimes you may even go back a few steps, but you're spiraling upwards in a way. It's never going to feel like the body won't be healing at the same rate through time. So therefore, it needs patience, but you will get there. Trust me, when you give your body, listen to the body and give it what it needs, you are going to get there. Because every time when you break through a plateau of healing, because there are going to be plateaus where you feel like you're just spiraling in the same place. Once your body acquire the nutrients and remove some of those healing obstacles that is keeping you in that plateau, once you break through that plateau, you're going to, it's like, sometimes my client would say, it's like we're opening a new chapter in your life. I have this story I would like to share with you, and it's a story about you might feel worse before you get better. It takes courage to get better. I have this client who is diagnosed with pre-diabetes, and he suffers from chronic fatigue, brain fog, and sinus infections. And one of the complaints, because there are so many issues to work through, I asked him, let's highlight your top 3 goals. Right? I understand that we're working to improve your blood sugar health because you're pre-diabetic, but if you want to change something about your current experience, what would you like to change? And he said, I would like to stop blacking out. I really would like to stop blacking out after I eat lunch. And I asked him, why? What do you mean? What do you mean by blacking out after lunch? Well, he says, I take lunch, okay? And I go back to my desk, and I don't know when, but I hit my head on the desk, and sometimes it'll be hours until my colleague shake me up. So he was literally passing out from high blood sugar. What I realized is, okay, like at the time when I realized we gotta figure out if you're eating way too much sugar at lunch, and we may want to give you more protein, more fiber, more healthy fat, less sugar at lunch. So yeah, we went ahead and we give him some high protein recipes that's easy for him to manage. And he was really compliant. He followed through the meal plan. But actually a week later, he reached out and he said, Tahlia, I cannot do this anymore. I said, why? He said, I felt so shitty. I felt so shitty. I said, okay, like, tell me, what are you going through? So he said, I'm feeling like I'm having a flu. My body is aching. I have a temperature. I have a sore throat. My sinus is killing me, and I couldn't get out of bed. Okay. So what I realized is, from chronically having high blood sugar, this client has built up a high amounts of candida, which is a kind of yeast in their body. So as you starve the source for feeding the yeast, which is sugar, once you start eating healthy, in this case, he's eating more protein, less sugar, but it actually made him look sick. This is what we called a die-off effect. Die-off effect is some of these unfriendly yeast is dying off, and they're releasing a bunch of toxins. So it actually produces flu-like symptoms. And it usually goes away gradually, and by promoting rest, supporting bowel movement, and supporting your liver, you're going to get over it. So I reflect to him, actually, congratulations. The bad guys, the bad microbiome in your body is actually gradually dying off. But what I learned from this case, most importantly, is you may feel worse before you get better. And what I also learned is to assess each one of my cases in a more personalized manner, so that I can prevent scary die-offs like this, or at least better prepare my clients for it. I have this client that came to me because she was struggling. She was struggling seriously with long COVID symptoms. She was struggling with her energy. She was relying on her partner mostly for cleaning and cooking, some of those basic caring. And she feel like she cannot digest her food. There's a lot of digestive issues, bloating, and digestive bloating and cramps. So what we did is, first we did an immune recharge program that we supplied her immune system with the nutrients and the herbs it needs to amplify her immune resources so she can get over this prolonged infection. And we also investigated some of the underlying reasons why she was building up large amounts of inflammation in her body. So it turns out that food sensitivity was a major contributing factor to not only her digestive issues, but was taking away, it was inflaming her body so much it was taking away her immune resources to get over the infection. So 2 months later, after she changed up her diet, she was actually sending me pictures like, Tahlia, look, I'm hosting a dinner party with my girlfriends. Look at the charcuterie board that I'm making that's filled with all of these nice things that is suitable for my food sensitivity's need. And I'm trying new recipes again with my partner that she feels like although there's more healing to do, but she feels like the joy is back. Finally, the joy is back, and her relationship is improving with her partner because she's not relying on her partner as much for cleaning and cooking around the house. When is a good time to start? I would say today is a good time to start working on bringing your health back on track naturally. Oftentimes in discovery sessions, I hear clients ask me, Tahlia, should I do like a 7-day water fast or master cleanse or juice cleanse before I come see you? Actually, I think that's not a good idea. You know, you're free to do you, but what I think is to embrace that baseline, to embrace where you are currently and establish that status quo with you. Maybe you're not so proud of where you are health-wise right now, but the most important thing is looking at where your health is at with love and working with what you have going forward. Health is not like an overhaul, right? Health to me is never a fad diet. I'm never gonna put you on a fad diet, and we're not gonna put you on a quick detox program. It is about thinking about setting your life to a positive trajectory, and it's something that's going to be yours and is sustainable for you.